each has been, through timelessness and without form, at one-ment with the universe, until, consistent with its will, each emerged in helpless form, plunged headlong into time and space, to unfold for better or for worse, in sunshine or in shadow of guardian lights, to stewardship ordained by cosmic pair, the parents of all life and all that is, whose blessed names are love and truth. And in their sunshine, each petal of the flower itself unfolds and reaches up to manifest the colour, form and fragrance of expanding unity with cosmic kin. And in their shadow, florets fade, emergence stilted, life's sap receding, at one-ment shrinking. And so, depending on the light, will fruit appear or toxic thorns, or some of each like prickly pear, to nourish or deny those who, whether from our loins or no, will be through time, by order of the cosmic court and by decree of opportunity, entrusted to our care. So must we learn, nay, relearn what once we effortlessly knew, to trust our parents' love and truth, and realize the qualities they have in each implanted, seeds of potential whose fruitfulness brings bounty to their household. So must this be till sojourn ends, when time for each no longer is, nor needs to be, in the ubiquitous embrace of all that is, and ever was, and eternally and universally shall be. Some creatures here are buffeted by change, and some are not. Those loving stasis are blind to opportunities that change permits, reacting only to the danger they perceive in stepping off the irksome treadmill of inflexible routine. Those loving change, not for its sake alone, but for the richness that it brings, know in their being when to move and why, and feel their fullest self emerge as hand in hand they dance in concert with the seasons as they flow. And I, adrift between the two, implant my feet in quicksand, yet yearn to soar. So must I then remove the self-made mute from inner ear, and listen, as do migrant birds and spawning fish and drought-struck herds, to lilting Cosmognostica, and with its vibrant melody attuned to all I need to know to resonate with consciousness of when and where and why, and how to fly to qualify my sojourn here. And I am told by voice within that ere my life can soar aloft to venture forth in all the plains, 3 guiding lights I need to seek, 3 reference points I need to find, a trinity of stars. The first, to find the fundamental task which life itself prepared me to fulfill to meet its need before I was conceived, and next, to find the means, the way, the process I can trust my duty to discharge with joy, and not in leaden sense of must. And thirdly must I find, when knowing task and means, the structure, place, and time, and those with whom to share the product of this blessed Trinity, that others and myself may know the meaning of my sojourn here. Quite early in my sojourn here, I sang and cried and dreamed and tried and wondered what and when and why, and longed to know and understand, pursuing all with 4 square vigour, 5 thumbs a hand. And those more powerful, deemed more wise, in different ways would quench my thirst from their own reservoirs, and some would slake the arid parch, and some would spout beyond my reach, and others brackish be, and some would swamp, until somehow my head was so awash with spate of words, my eyes began to shrink. And so through time I learned to trust no more than that which could be seen. So dreams were scorned and visions shunned. Empiricism reigned supreme. Objective truths ran free. Subjective pansophy enchained. And so in detailed form a shrinking world emerged, until by blessed paradox, as spectacles grow thicker, my inner eye sheds cataract, and childlike wonder, yawning, stirs in twilight of new morning. And now, with light increasing, I see with sense of awe a boundless universe, and one of endless beauty, each part in harmony with each and every other. Systems within systems within systems. And there to find in microcosm small a tiny speck. The planet Earth is prodigal. And there confusion reigns, as most exalted creatures debate with troubled hearts their destiny unknown. We'll self-destruct, wail pessimists. Technology will save us, croon optimists in chorus. And decent realists, with feet astride plumb middle, take first the time to see what is. Then from that honest starting point, work hard to see what needs to be to add constructively to what has been. Yet further still, to bridge the gap. Create the new, to build and grow and learn, enriching all that is. But yet with this diversity of views, does harmony prevail? Networks persist tenaciously. Simplicity coils snugly with complexity. Each element, albeit large or small, robust or fragile, fulfills itself with joy in manifesting each its own unique, intrinsic core design. And in the whirling, twirling, orbiting in space, each takes and gives throughout its sojourn here, each in its turn surrendering self expending in the privilege of contribution to the next. And so the aggregate expands in richer, fuller, ordered boundlessness. And love is known, and truth expressed, and life itself is blessed. But humankind, with power to build or contrawise destroy, confronted by the gift of choice, may choose to get and not pass on, and constipate their world and litter it with shriveled turds of greed that lead to death. So must I choose within the harmony of things to build on what is real and meet the need of universal kin as best I can, or choose to die. And this I know, that I can give no more than who I am. And so I'm charged, nay, charge myself to manifest the me in me, until I'm really whole, until I'm wholly real, becoming more and more whilst sojourn lasts who I was born to be. There is no task more basic, nor ever can there be, none that is so relevant, nor has such urgency, nor is there one more ultimate, nor is it just for me. My fundamental task, my heartfelt need, my lifelong quest to be wholly real and really whole is fed by tributaries three. I grow more whole, more real and more attuned to fullest self and all that is, when those more whole than I contribute to and nourish me from their own authenticity. I likewise grow when, like a droplet in a fall, I know the power of reaching down to nurture others, and flowing into them expand the life they manifest, as others do for me. I also grow when what I do for self sharpens and refines, prepares and empowers my capacity to give and my freedom to receive, and so discharge the stewardship I have for life in me to quest for truth, in love, towards perfection. And permeating all this trinity of sources is the unpretentious synergist of all life's forces, the artisan whose varied gifts I've learned to call responsiveness. Responsiveness, the midwife at the birth of planet Earth, when from the void chaotic darkness without form emerged the glowing child to bring a wave of joy to timeless parents, love and truth. And still, as order follows disarray in climates of responsiveness, is pregnant new conceived. Responsiveness is fully vigilant to life. It sees and hears and knows and verifies the knowing of events and thoughts and feelings beyond the bounds of self as well as those within. Responsiveness, as Weaver Laureate, takes up the threads of knowing and fashions on its loom the snugly fitting garment of unique and personal meaning and the all-pervasive feeling of the wearer's current truth. when the wearer has affirmed the fit, the weaver, from knowledge of the yarn and life itself, embroiders then upon the breast the telling words which focus on the missing skill, whose presence would dispel the all-pervasive mood, the garb's emotive hue. The monogram sits heavy on the wearer's heart and triggers deep within the tendency to criticize the self as increments of imperfection unfurl in winds of consciousness. And in a trice, the knowledge of the current lack, with metamorphic pain and joy, emerges as the goal which life requires to verify itself before it sheds the outgrown overall and stows it in the rag bag of history. Responsiveness, as architect and master builder, deems each new goal to be a room to add on to the temple self, and so consults to know the detail of the form before the plans are drawn and work proceeds. But yet, this latent skill, responsiveness, implanted in the human breast, is fettered in outgoingness by dampening power of poisonous sin, the tendency to hold love in and truth distort, or even worse, the evil twin of willfully rejecting them. The skills flow naturally from precious few whose countenances show a family likeness with the cosmic pair, whose union sparked the life in all that is. But mostly, responsiveness is stumbled on by chance, or learned by hit and miss approach in mimicking some valued trait in favoured mentor's repertoire, or haplessly avoided by viewing life's kaleidoscope through tinted monocle of self. And so, it seems with vivid clarity must flow new learning, new strategies to teach indigenies of earth to dust their hearts and polish up the rusty skill of how to give responsively to others and to self, and so receive and magnify the giving. And each must learn to risk and dare to push the boundaries of the known, and learn, regardless of the starting point, to use the map that life reveals to travel to the mushrooming metropolis of one's own whole reality, one's own real wholeness. Within that city's vast resource, there stirs at first perhaps a need, then flows desire, then blooms the humbling sense of privilege to pass on what is known of milestones, landmarks and surrounds, by teaching others what they need when time is right to foster increments of wholeness. And in this magic cycle, learn yet again what later still can then be taught. This then the process that I seek, learning and teaching, teaching and learning responsively. There is no more relevant process, nor can there be. None so rewarding, none so purposeful, nor is there one more necessary, nor is it just for me. And were my heart to bleed upon the sand, and somehow flow before it seeped away to blazon my desire, then thus would read coagulated text. Be really whole and wholly real, and learn and teach and teach and learn responsively. Yet still my heart would yearning be to have sufficient ink to further scribe what's still to learn. The structure and the form wherein can flow responsiveness, the power of love and truth expressed, whose boundless energies and vibrant music's beat are stitched in souls of myriad dancing feet, swirling in blissful synchrony, each linked to each sensitive to change of mood, of tempo and of form. So galaxies are born, and mites too small to see, all frolicking with joy in cosmic harmony. All, that is, save one. And there is pain in cosmic breast, for unlike all the rest, the human form so oft with dissonance combines. And cosmic parents' love and truth sit vigilant and yearn to see the prodigal return. And will the humankind on soaring orb face home when they, learning how the waters quench the plains from dams above dams above dams high in the hills, arrange themselves in similar array, where those above can lead and guide and nourish, expressing life with quality and depth and with reserve, to service those below and those below. This, the humility of life, kinetic power which seeks the lowest place to do its work. And facing thus the light of home, refining fire of love and truth, there is no choice but leave the shadows trail. But there are hosts who turn their backs, and in their self-cast shadow grope to seek the highest place. They lust for power, for status yearn, for wealth connive, prestige to earn, all for its own sake. And in the struggle as they climb, too often stomp on those they later claim they rose to serve. They greet with vacant eyes, with acid tongue or honeyed, depending on the outcome they contrive, and handshake like a piece of chewed up string, or country pump which must be primed before it spouts. Their vanity is fed when seen as over busy implementing choices made with too few facts. Hot head, cold feet, or suspect liver. And any contribution they might make is cumbered by the constant thought of benefit to self. They take from above, and by virtue of their greed pass nothing down to those whose energies they sap with parasitic glee, until the empty or rebellious, who can or will no longer feed, leave them perched aloft in sterile cage to die. But yet their unacknowledged forebears' love and truth would have them live, and freed to find the niche below where can their authenticity and substance flow in contribution to the whole. The empty sieve, self-centeredness, transformed to crucible of nurturing responsiveness. The broth for convalescing world, the face about from death to life, from past penumbra turned to light, from pig slops in some foreign part to fatted calf at home. And from the rubble of the crumbling monolith, responsiveness as conservationist takes up the displaced stones to chip off clinging mortar from the past, address each block, and help it find its place in living hierarchy of blending energies, each committed to its fullest contribution to the whole, each relating to each in tiers of functionality, each nurtured from above, each nurturing below. And at the very summit sits the one who is most functional, for there is vision broadest, perspective richest, the burden greatest, and loneliness the most intense. So must the one who dwells in this abode be ever conscious of the boundless fund of energy bequeathed by cosmic pair for unrestricted use by all on sojourn here. So from this mountain top will rise the spring whose output will refresh and quench the thirst of those below, and so below. I cannot see with any eye a structure more sublime, nor one more sensible, nor necessary, nor urgent, nor yet more difficult to build, until in aggregate we draw the family tree and see our kinship linked by blessed ancestry to one creative, fun-loving, boundless, all-sufficient source. So now it's clear. The task is to be really whole and wholly real as I was born to be. The process, learning and teaching, teaching and learning responsively. The structure, a living hierarchy of those who know the joy of being nurtured from above and nurturing below. This then my trinity of stars, celestial guides through sojourn's term, the pulsing synchrony of seasonal flow, the cyclic rim on which all life perambulates towards incomprehensible perfection. And from these musings come I now to see that I must dare to use my head and heed my heart, and muscles flex if I would magnify emergent self, life's spirit to enthrone. And in each moment must I fill the void that is my shape, and in that place my task pursue. Life's process share to work for needed structural change, and to that end conjoin with other kin to open cages round the world, to free incarcerated lives from bondage of sicknesses induced by fear of health, and hunger fed by others' lust for wealth, and vagrancy maintained by those lost in corridors of their palatial homes, and ignorance sustained by those convinced that they know best what others need, and idleness that's scorned by those too busy far to share their load, and lingering fear that's spread by well-meant reassurances, and nagging doubt maintained by information sources, and loneliness that heightens in the crowd, and maladies of spirit which restrict capacity to love and justify distortions of the truth, and foster dissonance with all that is, and mock pursuit of beauty and of peace, and scorn the majesty of paradox, and focus on all other time but now. And then will each emancipist, sparked by the rending of their cage, become the candle they were born to be, and in their burning, self-consumed, to mark the worth of sojourn here, and add their light to penetrating beams of hope that will dispel the panoply of dark which fills the valleys of despair. If each in turn does not stay real, does not grow whole, nor learns from life, nor shares with others what they've learned, nor fits the space that life reveals through each successive moment, then will they roar in silent apathy, condemning progeny unborn to ever-shrinking, darkening cages, till they, with innocent sagacity, refuse to be born into a stench-filled world of dying carcasses, awaiting their cremation in the holocaustic furnace which they themselves had built. And for a time the social engineers offset the loss. Teachers are redeployed as tourist guides through museums which once were schools, and coffers fill with takings from endless droves of nostalgia trippers. And one by one, maternity wards are revamped into bingo halls, where hordes of senior citizens play round the clock in shifts, in desperate hope to win not cash, but service of their choice from wizening band of tradespeople. Through passing days, aging executives cry for lack of staff to maintain the computers which monitor the fleet of corporate robots reprogrammed to disassemble goods, to reconvert to raw material, to hoard for nullified posterity. Through passing nights, do these same folk cry for lack of infant ears to tell the way things used to be? But comes the day when upper houses round the globe all cast their vote, albeit some reluctantly, to block supply of treasury funds for ill-named budgets of defence, appropriating them to fuel concerted drives to boost the flagging tourist trade. These empty motel wombs have got to stop. And so bureaus are charged by memos from the top. Design attractive packages to induce fetal desire to embark on routine sojourn here. Research the underlying values to revamp policies whose implementation will vindicate fetal choice to visit. Develop winsome slogans that fetuses can understand. The backroom girls and boys around the world are stumped, until reports of sightings from all quarters come of ageless couple playing on the beach, whose T-shirts individually read, "Love ousts fear, and truth sets free." And near their picnic spot, these words scratched in the sand: "Be and come, come and be, and so become." Timeless words are etched on every beach, defying camouflage of flesh-flecked barbs of war and nonchalance of thoughtless revellers, renewed with every tide. And each on sojourn here by axiom has heard the call to come, but will, if anything like me, be stilted in response to call to be, till each removes the tourniquet of fear to let love flow with fullest pulse, to nurture the unfolding of the truth which Cosmognostica reveals, and through whose stethoscope perpetual encouragement is heard. Badum, badum, bidum, become, 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 become who you were born to be, till sojourn ends, and so at one-ment be with all that is.